Streaming live, tackling the topics everyone's talking about online. Share, engage, interact. This is Newsfeed Now.
And a good Wednesday to you. Welcome to Newsfeed Now. I am Aaron Nolan. Big show today, from used tissues to too much screen time. I have 4 screens right here if you can't count. But first, we start flying to local airports. In the northwest corner of Arkansas, you'll find the national headquarters of Walmart, Tyson Foods, and the campus of the University of Arkansas. This week, a U of A professor said a Delta pilot assaulted him by grabbing his neck. And according to this teacher, it was because of a race. Peyton Yeager breaks down the story.
After a 2-hour flight from Atlanta to Bentonville, Khalid Beydoun took to Twitter after he claimed a Delta pilot put his hands on him.
It really shows that we're all susceptible and we're all open to this type of treatment.
Through a series of tweets, Beydoun says, "The captain grabbed me by my neck and told me to come here in front of other passengers." He went on to post, "If I were a white male, I don't think the captain would have engaged me with that kind of disregard and disrespect."
Pointed at him aggressively and then walked up to him, grabbed him by the neck and collar and pushed him up the jetway. So that's what it really escalated.
But according to Delta, the story begins before takeoff. This is the exact seating chart of Flight 5325 off of Delta's website. Now, prior to departure, they upgraded Beydoun to first class. But then Beydoun was notified that the flight attendant's seat wasn't working and she needed to sit in his seat according to protocol. That means that Beydoun needed to move 4 rows back to seat 5B, the Delta Comfort Plus section. Delta released this statement saying, "We regret that the customer perceived the seat change as anything but procedural. Delta apologized to the customer for the seat change and provided a goodwill gesture for the inconvenience."
We are experiencing a height of Islamophobia, anti-Arab sentiment in the U.S., and it's very unfortunate.
After the plane landed at XNA, Beydoun requested to speak to the pilot, Timothy Hovelsrud, on the jet bridge. Hovelsrud then requested a customer service agent and XNA police once the passenger claimed the pilot grabbed his jacket and pulled him close. According to a police report, the pilot said he never put his hands on Beydoun and said, quote, "Beydoun was playing the race card." But Beydoun and his lawyer are sticking to their story.
He doesn't have an incentive to conjure up a story or infinite. So he does have the credibility, but does have the background for us to really believe that this unfortunate incident did happen despite what the pilot said.
Yeager reporting for us. Delta Airlines tells us this professor originally paid for a main cabin seat on the flight before he was upgraded. There is an open investigation, but no charges or lawsuits have been filed at this time. What to take and what to pack? It's a question we all have to answer each and every time we head to the airport for our sunny destination or maybe our next work trip. One thing that seems like is a given is not loading your gun and taking it with you through the security checkpoint. But thousands of guns with bullets are found across the country in those TSA lines. You can't travel with a loaded weapon, but it is legal to fly with guns if you do it the right way. Tish Clark has more from Memphis.
The most common thing we hear is, "I forgot," or "I didn't know it was there."
That's not going to fly anymore, according to TSA agents. There's been a steady increase in the number of guns found in carry-on bags at airport checkpoints nationwide. In 2008, 926 guns were found at airports across the country. Last year, more than 4,200 guns were found. 86% were loaded. In Memphis, nearly 90% of guns found were loaded.
We don't want to infringe on anybody's right to take a firearm with them when they travel. We just want it to be packed in a check bag, not brought to the checkpoint or in the cabin of the aircraft for obvious reasons.
Get a hard-sided case with padding inside. Make sure the case is locked and hang on to the key. Also, make sure your weapon is not loaded. You can store secured ammunition inside the gun case. Memphis TSA agents say they find, on average, about 1 gun a week.
If you're able to fly with it out of here and carry it here, the carry laws are not reciprocal in state to state. So you need to do your research before you travel.
If you're a conscientious firearm owner, you ought to know where your weapon is at every time. And obviously, we all want to be on an aircraft that's safe.
All right, Tish now joins us from Memphis. And Tish, you guys have one of the busiest airports in the entire country, definitely one of the busiest in the South. Were these guys shocked that they're finding a gun a week trying to get through TSA?
Yeah, Aaron, they are. But, you have to also, people need to realize that you need to think about the size of the airport. Okay, so for instance, Aaron, like you just said, 1 gun a week on average found at Memphis airports, right? So the national average is 12 guns a day.
No.
Yeah. No.
Trying to get through the checkpoint, guns.
Yes. So
wow.
What you need, So what you have to do is, you have to follow the rules, and to know those rules, TSA.gov has everything you need. But just so you know, like once you get to the airport, you have to go to the ticket counter, you fill out this form, and they're going to give you this little slip. It's like this big, like business card size, and you have to put that in your hard case, your gun case, that has your unloaded weapon in it. You can put more than 1 weapon in that case. You can put ammunition as long as it's secure, not rolling around in there. But you can, and it has to have a lock on it. Okay, so the gun case has to have a lock. But you open it yourself. TSA agents won't open your gun case, but you stick that card in there. And the best thing to do, Aaron, you put that gun case in your suitcase, your checked baggage.
Okay.
Because if it's separate, then you can't pick up your gun case through baggage claim. You've got to go to the baggage office.
So let's go back to the security lines. Tish, we're talking about people just forgetting, or do you think they're trying to pull a sly one over and say, look, I can concealed carry here, I can constitutional carry here, I can legally carry in my state right now, that means I should be able to board with it? Or is it simply just guys that, look, I forgot?
It's I forgot. I didn't know it was there. That's the main excuse. TSA agents told us yesterday. They all said they seem very genuine. Oh, I didn't know it was there. I totally forgot. But, they also said as a responsible gun owner, you need to know where your weapon is at all times. So it's kind of, you know what I mean? You need to know where that gun is at all times. And let me tell you this, too, of all of the guns found. So nationally, the national average guns found, 86% the weapons were loaded. This is in carry-on bags.
Yeah.
Okay, these are in carry-on bags, and a large percentage, maybe half of that, I can't remember the exact number, but there was a bullet in the chamber.
Oh my, wow.
Yeah.
All right.
So
yeah, Tish, this is a great reminder to do it the right way.
Got to do it the right way. If you don't, possible felony charges, 13,000 plus in fines. Yeah.
Tish from
and you'll
Memphis.
Miss your flight.
Thank you. Yeah, that's another good point. You ain't going to make that seat on the plane. Tish, thank you so much. We appreciate you taking the time. Moving on now, it seems each and every day something new comes up that's either really good for you or really bad for you. Growing up, I did a lot of things that would not be considered smart today. But as technology increases, researchers are testing phones and iPads to make sure they're safe. The National Institutes of Health spent millions of dollars studying the brains of 4,500 children, and the first results are shocking. Melanie Christopher reports.
Smartphones, computers, tablets, video games, all are a part of our social fabric, how we communicate, work, and play. But one expert says that doesn't mean it's child's play.
I think what's happening with a screen is not evil. A screen is not a bad thing. A screen is sort of like a chainsaw. It's a great tool, a wonderful tool. You would no more give a chainsaw to an 8-year-old than you would the man on the moon. You would give a chainsaw to someone who shows they can handle it. They can demonstrate that they can handle this thing.
Child psychologist Dr. David Elkins has long been concerned how screen time is affecting our children and their ability to not only learn, but also to socialize. Now the NIH says kids who use screens for 7 hours or more a day show signs that their brain cortex is thinning prematurely. Just 2 hours or more every day is linked to lower scores on thinking and language tests.
Before it was just speculation or self-report on symptoms of depression or anxiety being higher for kids who are on more social media sites. And now you have actual physical evidence, which is astounding.
Yeah, good job, baby.
So what should parents do? Tim Alford, head of St. Andrew's Episcopal Middle School, says parents should really be concerned with the NIH findings and be cautious of offering screens in the first place.
One of the things we've been encouraging families to do is be courageous about holding out on smartphones. I think that's something that families need to be mindful of. And then the other thing is, once you start to use, or once you do get your child a smartphone, or once, you know, any device in question, being really proactive about establishing boundaries and talking thoroughly about how much is this going to be used, and what are the possible pitfalls, and how can we be prepared to use it really well and mindfully, and then consequences for misuse.
I hope people pay attention to this. I hope people will, parents and caregivers will take care to monitor what their kids are doing on screen, to restrict screen time, and to encourage kids to do normal kid behavior, you know, play, socialize, learn, but apart from screens.
A wake-up call for every parent.
Definitely a wake-up call. Melanie now joins us live from Jackson, Mississippi. Melanie, the doctor compared screen time for children to using a chainsaw. Does he really believe that?
Yes, I think it was a good comparison, because he was saying that you're just turning over these screens, whatever they are, being a smartphone, being an iPad, some tablet, a computer, video game, playing, all of this, you just turn it over and think it's just fine. But, you know, in the wrong hands, if the kids are not old enough, if they don't have enough responsibility to know when to stop doing this, yeah, it's like putting a chainsaw in the hands of an 8-year-old.
That's terrifying if you really think about it. Now, my kids are pretty savvy with the phone, even at 4 and 3 years old. But for me, as I watch this, and I like to learn in everything that I do, Melanie, this is one of those, your story and everything that the doctor was talking about was less about teaching the technology and more about limiting the usage. Is that about right?
That is right. I think that with this landmark study by the NIH, $300 million study that's going to continue for a decade, the first results are alarming. They are actually seeing changes in the brain for kids who spend 7 hours or more on a screen. Now, you may think that, oh gosh, my kid doesn't spend that much time. But if they're in school and they're using computers, which generally they are now, that's 5 hours. Then they go home and maybe they have the smartphone and they're Snapchatting, or they're YouTube watching, or Instagramming, or they are watching video games. It doesn't take long to add up to that 7 hours. And when you see a thinning of the cortex, actual physical changes in the brain, that's terrifying. It really is.
Well, break down what that thinning of the cortex actually means as you're talking about long-term effects for the kids.
Well, normally everyone over time has thinning of the cortex. That is our consciousness. That is what controls consciousness. And when you start seeing it in young kids, premature thinning of the cortex, it just shows that this is having some effect on them. That's why they can't put it down. It's becoming almost addictive, actually.
I think you said a wake-up call for every parent. I think that is very true there. Before you go, I've got 4 screens set in front of me right now, 2 computers, an iPad, and a phone. I may be dense by the end of this thing, right?
Well, I think that if you use it responsibly and you know that you can close them and put them away, and don't use that smartphone all the time in front of your kids. They're saying now that kids think that's another sibling that they have to rival against, that the parents are on the phones, you know, do as I say, not as I do.
Melanie, that is good stuff there. Appreciate you taking the time on Newsfeed Now. Thank you so much. Have a fantastic afternoon. We will talk to you again soon. Finally, things that make you go, literally. This is a real question, and I really can't believe I'm asking it. Would you rub a used tissue from a sick person to try and beat the flu this year? I'm going to ask you one more time, just so you know I'm serious. In fact, let me ask Matt. Matt, would you use a used Kleenex if you knew it wasn't going to get you sick, or if to prevent sickness in the future? Tim used that. The director used that, didn't he?
You want to use this now?
Tim used that, and now, okay, this is
You can pay
ridiculous.
me $80 to use this if you want.
All right, real, it is real, and it is sold out, not the one that Matt just used. Dana Wynter has more.
So I thought you were lying. I thought this was a major joke.
No, I don't think it's real.
It's no joke. It's sold out, and it costs $79.99.
Why wouldn't you just go to the pharmacy and get the $20 flu shot?
The Vave tissue says it works hand in hand with the human body, keeping your immune system feeling like your immune system. All you do is breathe in germs still on a tissue a sick person used before you.
I think it's absolutely ludicrous. It's old wives' tale, or I guess it's the current wives' tale. No way it's going to work. There's a flu vaccine for that. It's been well developed. People need to get a flu vaccine and not rely on tales from the internet.
In an interview with Time.com, founder of the company Oliver Neeson says the idea is to choose when you get sick. So you get sick now and don't later. Neeson says his company, Vave, has 10 go-to sneezers. Vave first confirms a person is truly sick, then has the person sneeze into a batch of tissues. Vave packages the infected tissues and sends them off. But doctors disagree. In the same article, Dr. Charles Gerba from the University of Arizona says the tissues are an incredible liability, stating you cannot predict how a person will react to any virus. But we wanted to know, would you try it?
Germs can stay dormant on certain things, right? So who knows?
So you wouldn't try this?
No, absolutely not. I think it's ridiculous, and honestly, it's quite disgusting.
I just think it's pointless to spend $80 on it. Like if it was $20, yes, I would do it. If it was $20 the same price as a flu shot, I would totally do it.
Look, Dana Wynter joins us now from Mobile, Alabama. Dana, this is something real. You talked to the folks on the streets. They said if it was $30, yeah, I'd do it. But 80, would you do it? I think that's the first question.
$80. I do not think that I could actually spend $80 on a tissue. Now, you got to remember, the tissue, when you pull it out of the box, it's, you know, nice and new. Once you blow into this tissue, it gets pretty gross. I mean, last time I had a cold, that's what I think of, is these nasty tissues that I ball up and throw away, and I never want anyone to see. I didn't even want to hand them to my mom when I was a kid. So how do I want to stick somebody's icky tissue up my nose?
All right, so you've had to do your research, and you've gone to vavetissue.com. I'm looking at the website here. If you want to bring this up, Tim, I've got it on our second computer. We've got violinists who have tissues stuck up their nose. We got people flexing with tissues. How bad was this research for you? Did you feel like you got sick simply by contact?
It was really gross. I wanted to wash my hands. I definitely had a bottle of hand sanitizer nearby as I was looking at these images online. What's also so gross is that there are so many different strains of viruses. So I was reading, a doctor says to actually be able to get completely immune against one of the viruses, you'd have to do 200 tissues because there's 200 strains of like rhinovirus. So 200 tissues up your nose, not just one.
Oh, again, all right, so you did look at the medical thought process behind this. Is there any basis whatsoever that this will work? If you spent the $80, it will work for you?
No, so the doctors say if it is preserved correctly, it might get you sick. They're not sure what you would get sick with because they're just testing that the person is sick. They're not testing necessarily what the person is sick with, or at least they didn't disclose their screening techniques with any of the articles that we looked into. So you're just getting whatever sickness this person has, and you don't know if they might have something else. So you could even get more sick.
Oh, no, you did not go there. What else they might have? That's terrifying. All right, I'm looking at the box here, Dana. The box has got to be the most valuable thing in this, right? It's a pretty nice box.
I do say they're out of California. They're out of Los Angeles. So they've got that Los Angeles packaging. You know, they've got that nice box that comes out of the box and it's all Instagrammy. It looks all pretty. I think that's really where you're getting your money's worth.
Dana Wynter, thank you so much. And do not send me one of your tissues ever.
You sure?
Off the tape. All right, hold on. I am hanging up on you. Yes, I hung up on Dana just like that. Matt, they're sold out. Are you going to order some when they get back in stock?
No, I'm just going to make some and hand them and throw them on your desk.
Thank you.
So
thank you.
You don't have to pay $80. I'll just throw them on your desk.
All right. Well, that's the first time I've ever hung up on one of our guests here on Newsfeed Now. There's a first for everything. Thank you so much for choosing Newsfeed Now on this Wednesday. We're going to take a little bit of a break, but we'll be right back here at 11 o'clock tomorrow, finding what is trending, and I sure hope it's not used tissues anymore. See you tomorrow.